I want to talk a little NBA off of the big news from the weekend that had nothing to do with any of the games, and that was Joel Embiid getting into it with a reporter. So the backstory here, and I only understand this as an outsider because I don't know Marcus Hayes, Philadelphia Inquirer columnist. I guess he's been there forever. He wrote this story about Embiid. And as you know, if you listen to me talk about Embiid, like I'm kind of getting over it in general, despite liking him. I've just been more over it. I talked about it in the over-under pod. It became a breakout video. Then it makes it look like I hate Embiid, but I just am kind of tired of just all the bullshit around it. And then when somebody's like, hey, did you read that columnist? It kind of lit him up. I was like, oh, I wonder if I'll agree with a lot of this stuff. Well, when I read the column, I actually couldn't believe it because Hayes was trying to make a point, and it was such an impossible turn where he said, quote, Joel Embiid consistently points to the birth of his son Arthur as the major inflection point in his career. He often says that he wants to be great to leave a legacy for the boy named after his little brother who died in an automobile accident when Embiid was in his first year as a 76er. All right. Next paragraph. Well, in order to be great at your job, you first have to show up for work. Embiid has been great at just the opposite. Now in his 11th season, he consistently has been in poor condition. I got to tell you, yes, I would not argue for Embiid's conditioning. I would also agree that, yeah, it's kind of ridiculous, like how often he's hurt and the other times he's missing games. I would say as an editor to this piece, I'd be like, you know what? Maybe we put a little buffer in there in between the death of his brother and then right into dumping on him for not playing in enough games. Like, is there any way you can get from that point to the next point with a few other points in between? Or maybe just don't make that point because that seems a little unfair. And when I read it, I kind of couldn't fucking believe it. I was like, so I don't know. Trust me. I'm not saying this to be dismissive of anybody that's a writer. It's just that I'm not reading every local story, certainly not as much as I used to. When it comes to these teams, but I also know that like when I was in Boston, there was always like a columnist or two that would decide to just kind of be that guy, right? You would just kind of be that guy and get reaction and piss people off. And some people actually make like a real living out of it by being relevant, by pissing everybody off all the time. I have no idea if that's what this guy's deal is, but I thought it was crossing a line. Then on Saturday night, you're watching some of the late college football and you see a tweet from another Sixers reporter saying that Embiid's assaulted a reporter in the locker room. I always feel like the word assault does more work. Like it just feels like it's, oh my God, this must be really bad. And then I don't know what happened because there was all sorts of stuff happening on X where it was somebody who's yelling, don't report this. Apparently there wasn't a video when it feels like there's always a video. That it was just a shove. And you know, you can't. It's hard to sit here and say like, "Hey, I'm totally okay with it," but I'm just on Embiid's side with this one. I thought this piece crossed the line, and you know, you're not supposed to put your hands on anybody and that kind of stuff. And Embiid's an enormous human being, so he's going to have the physical advantage of literally anybody he's going up against here. But I guess what I would say is instead of saying like, "Cool, it's awesome," he shoved this reporter. I also don't think assault should have been thrown around as freely as it was. You can get into the semantics of it. I think normal people would be like, there's a difference between shoving somebody in the shoulder, if that's just what happened, and then just jacking somebody in the head. So basically my point would be, even where I'm at, where I'm positioned right now with Embiid, I had no issue with this whatsoever because I thought this article crossed a line and was just trying to be like, it was trying to be brutal on purpose. I think those two paragraphs, it was like, let me see how nasty I can make this. And I guess they actually changed. They edited the original article and changed that part of it, or just took it out entirely after people were so pissed about it. So yeah, cool. You got a reaction. And then you also got one out of the player. And we'll see what happens.